Benjamin Mendy and Mason Greenwood. One of the biggest scandals in Premier League history, and no, not Chelsea's spending spree under Todd Boehly. This is way darker, one massive mess, and a whole lot of Sky Sports silence. He was charged with 8 counts of rape, 1 count of attempted rape, and 1 count of sexual assault involving multiple women. We're not talking about alleged misbehavior at a nightclub. We're talking multiple women, serious charges, and a jail cell with his name on it. But then came Man City with a genius statement. Nah, silent. The media, muted. Sky Sports, nothing. Mendy's name was scrubbed from broadcast discussions. No debates whether he was innocent or not. But then it gets even weirder. While Mendy's case was still ongoing, the guy is sitting in court. The club's social media went into overdrive celebrating the treble. Seriously, not one outlet asked the awkward question, hey, what about Mendy? Not because they didn't know, but because they didn't want to touch it. Not headlines about a potential serial predator. But then things took a really dark twist. It happened right in court, actually. Benjamin Mendy was found not guilty of 6 counts of rape and 1 of sexual assault in the first trial. Then, in a second trial, he was acquitted of the remaining charges. 1 count of rape and 1 of attempted rape. What the f***? So, technically he's innocent in the eyes of the law, right? Fine, let him play for Manchester City then. Nah, by the time the verdict came out, the damage was already done. Mendy's name had been dragged, his career torched. He spent over a year in prison and nearly 2 years suspended from football, only to walk out of court a free man, with nothing but a shell of a reputation and a career in ruins. And the media, still awkwardly silent. Meanwhile, City wins the treble, Pep becomes a ball god, and Benjamin Mendy is airbrushed from the narrative like he was never part of it. Look, this isn't about defending or attacking Mendy. This is about the selective memory of the Premier League ecosystem. One that can sell you every angle of a goal, but never the truth about what happens off the pitch. Because if it doesn't fit the brand, they'll pretend it never happened, I guess. Now Mason Greenwood, where things got even darker. Leaked audio, videos, graphic evidence, basically a horror film on Instagram. United? They waited, then waited some more. Then made a statement about making no statement. Seriously. But then all of a sudden, the charges dropped. What the f***? Not because he was directly found innocent, the witnesses literally backed out. Suddenly he was too bad for United's image while he literally wasn't even found guilty. But the media, no. They treated it like a transfer saga. Greenwood future uncertain, like we were talking about a hamstring, not human decency. Even worse were the fan reactions. A lot were screaming to cancel him. Football Twitter turned into a war zone, and Sky Sports, still showing Roy Keane yelling about character or something. Both clubs tried to play dumb, both used legal silence as a brand strategy, and most of the media let them. You can't claim to care about values and then slap betting ads next to a known abuse case. But that's the Premier League. Image first, morality, only if it boosts the sponsorships. Dele Alli, it's 2016. Dele's making Premier League defenders look like they're playing on roller skates. He's nutmegging world champions, scoring volleys like he's got cheat codes. Jose Mourinho's calling him lazy, meanwhile the world thinks this guy's the next big thing. But then, boom, gone. 1 minute Dele's got 18 goals a season, the next, he's taking selfies from a Turkish bench. Here's what happened. He was being crushed from the inside. Turns out Dele wasn't lazy, he was traumatized, sexual abuse at age 6, drugs at 7, foster care, mental health hell, addiction to sleeping pills just to survive the pressure. But you would think Sky Sports made plenty of news about it, right? Nope. Eventually he finally did open up in that raw, brutal interview with Gary Neville, before he was abandoned by 2 clubs and thrown to Turkey like he was being exiled from football's cool table. Because let's be real, Dele's story wasn't an exception. It's just the only one we heard. This league doesn't do mental health. It does bounce back. Get your head down. Prove the haters wrong. They've got sports scientists counting your calories. They've got data analysts measuring your sprints. But actual psychological support? Pfft, get in line behind the physio. They'll give a kid £50,000 a week at 19. But not one person to help him cope with the fact that millions are watching, judging, memeing, and mocking every missed touch. But even now, he still wants to play. Still hopeful to come back someday. Nowadays he's playing for Como in Italy. Chelsea, not even the Todd Boehly buying footballers like Pokemon cards Chelsea. We're going deeper, into the youth system where things become really nasty. Every year, Chelsea unveils another wonder kid, another generational baller who just might be the next Lampard, or the next John Terry, or more realistically, the next loan. Seriously, you get scouted at 15, hyped by 17, and shipped off to the another league by 18. Then forgotten. No one seems to care. Not the club itself and not even Sky Sports. Ask Lewis Baker. Ask Charlie Masonda. Wait, who? Exactly. But before the big millions came, there was seriously a thought-out plan for all of them. Kind of. Let's go back to the golden era of Chelsea's loan army. At one point, 41 players. That's not a development strategy. That's a hostage situation. Chelsea's youth setup was like an Amazon warehouse for footballers. You get a contract, a loan, a new passport, and a coach that doesn't speak your language. Next, and every time one of these kids had a decent month in Belgium, the club would act like they'd discovered Neymar with a British passport. Future captain material, he's learning abroad. No, but he's doing cardio on a frozen pitch in Holland. Sure, of all those not made examples, there are a few who just made it. Reece James? Yes, he made it. Mason Mount? Sure. But they're the exception, not the rule. For everyone that breaks through, 25 disappear. And let's not pretend those loans were for experience. It was about flipping assets. Make them look good, then sell them to Brighton for £10 million and claim it's a great bit of business. But now imagine this. You're 17. You've been told you're the next big thing. You get a Chelsea contract, post the pic with the pen, kiss the badge, boom. Next day you're on a plane to Turkey. No first team training, no real plan, just vibes and your agent saying it's good for development. And when you finally return, there's a new manager, a new system, and he's never even heard your name. You went from wonder kid to another kid. One of the darkest examples is surely Charlie Musonda Jr., once labelled the next Hazard, had the dribbling, the hype, the smile, but then the ACL tear. Chelsea loaned him, injured, unfit, still broken, to Vitesse. Yes, again with Vitesse. He played 4 minutes in 2 years. Not 4 games, 4 minutes. Total. Came back to Chelsea and said, I'll fight for my place. They gave him an Instagram farewell post. That's it. But some people say it's not about finding the next big legend. It's about something even more darker. Let's not kid ourselves. Chelsea's academy is a business model. Buy cheap talent at 16. Loan them 5 times, sell for £8 million. Repeat. Even Todd Boehly tried continuing the tradition. He just overdid it like someone who's never played Football Manager before. Now they've got 11 left-backs and 4 goalkeepers on loan. Art, really. But now let's be fair. Chelsea aren't the only club doing this. City has hoarded kids too. United have a class of 92 complex but forgot how to actually develop people. Liverpool barely touch youth unless Klopp is down to his last centre-back. But Chelsea, they industrialised it. They made it their brand. Buy young, loan forever, hope for resale, sprinkle in the occasional mount and pretend it works. The saddest part, for every one of these kids who disappears, there are a few who never even gets the chance, who sees this cycle and thinks, what's the point? Adam Johnson. Unlike the other stories, things took an insane twist this time. This one's not funny exactly. Adam Johnson didn't just bring shame to football. He exposed it. He showed how deep the rot goes, how clubs, fans, even teammates will all look the other way. Adam Johnson, ex-Sunderland winger, once a regular for England, faster than a Sunday League right-back, and more predictable than a Harry Maguire own goal. In 2016, he was convicted of sexual activity with a 15-year-old girl. Yeah, convicted, guilty, went to jail. He admitted to grooming, to kissing her, to knowingly messaging a minor with full intention. But then somehow, something changed. Now here's where it gets disgusting. Sunderland, they knew. This is not speculation. They literally had access to police interviews. He told the club he was guilty, straight up confessed to it internally. And what did they do? Played him, used him in games, let him score goals, let the fans chant his name, let kids wear shirts with Johnson 11 on the back while knowing. Why? Because they were in a relegation battle. That's it. Premier League survival over morals. Every club talks about values, integrity, respect, until they need 3 points against Norwich. But then the manager came with the interview. Sam Allardyce gave one of the most shrug-filled interviews in football history. Oh, we didn't know he was definitely guilty. Couldn't just leave him out if he was available. Let the courts decide. What? He literally admitted he was guilty. But then the fans were safe to say more surprising things happened. When the scandal broke, you'd expect a meltdown, right? Instead, people were chanting his name, wearing shirts in support, blaming the victim. Some went full genius mode on Twitter. She looked older. Bet she was loving the attention. She knew what she was doing. Ah yes, blame the kid. Top tier logic. But then after all, it finally happened. He went to jail, served 3 years, came out, and then what? Football acted like he never existed. Sunderland never apologised for throwing him for the bus. The FA never investigated the club's cover-up. Sky Sports, again, nothing. In football, if you're good enough, they'll protect you, I guess. They'll hide stuff, ignore stuff, delay stuff, and spin stuff. Let's be real. If Adam Johnson worked in literally any other profession, teacher, lawyer, banker, Tesco manager, the moment that girl's messages came out, fired, publicly condemned, blacklisted forever. Newcastle United. A sleeping giant, they said. A proud, gritty northern club, they said. A fan base starving for success, they said. But then, Saudi Arabia bought them. And suddenly, St. James's Park became the PR department of a nation accused of everything from human rights violations to assassinating journalists. But hey, Callum Wilson's pressing numbers look good, right? In 2021, Newcastle were taken over by the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. Yes, that's Saudi Arabia. The one with oil, skyscrapers, and a legal system straight out of a medieval horror novel. And what did the Premier League do? Well, after months of due diligence, aka pretending to care, they approved it. Why? Because the official paperwork said that the Saudi state was not controlling the club, even though the investment fund is literally chaired by Mohammed bin Salman, the actual crown prince of Saudi Arabia. Imagine if Elon Musk bought Grimsby Town and said, actually, it's not me, it's just my mate Dave with the same wallet. That's how the Premier League justified this, but then why Newcastle United? Let's be honest, this wasn't about loving Geordie culture, or wanting to learn what a Parmo is. This was about image. Saudi Arabia wanted a clean, shiny Western brand. They didn't just buy a club, they bought a narrative. One that comes with singing fans, Shearer nostalgia, and the most loyal support base in England, who'll literally sell their own house for a proper left back. But let's not pretend other clubs are saints. Manchester City, owned by United Arab Emirates money. PSG, Qatar. Football's been rolling in oil cash since the early 2000s. But Newcastle, they didn't just take the money, They threw a party, wearing tea towels on heads, waving Saudi flags, singing about Mohammed bin Salman like he's Alan Shearer with a diplomatic passport. After all this, you'd think Sky Sports, BT Sport, BBC, someone would say something. Nope, silence. The media was so terrified of offending the new money kings, they forgot they're supposed to ask questions, not just narrate counterattacks. When City were bought, the media called it a new dawn. When Newcastle were bought, it was a new era. When human rights groups spoke out, it was not the right time to discuss politics. Right? But then thank God the players actually care about this one. Nah, just joking. Of course they don't. You think Bruno Guimaraes signed for the vibes? You think Kieran Trippier moved up north because he missed Greggs? Nope. They saw the project. The wages, the bonus clauses, the Champions League carrot. Morals? Nope. Now look, we get it. Newcastle fans had been suffering. They wanted change. They deserve better than Steve Bruce and Joelinton. You can be happy about new owners and still say, yeah, this feels a bit shady. Instead, they went all in. Anyone who questioned the takeover, called jealous, anti-Newcastle, media bias, racism, Euro 2020 final, Saka, Rashford, Sancho. 3 brave lads step up to take penalties. All young, all black, all miss. The match ends, Italy wins, England sulks. And what happens next? The racism floodgates open up. Within minutes, their social media pages turn into a human cesspit. Monkey emojis. Go back to your country. Death threats like it's some kind of national sport. Because God forbid a teenager miss a penalty under pressure at Wembley. Nah, clearly it's because he was black. But then finally the FA did something. They tweeted, yes, that powerful move. A paragraph with a dark background and a hashtag. But here's where things get totally stupid. The same fans who chant, there's only one England, are the first ones screaming when a black player misses a sitter. They'll love Raheem Sterling when he scores. But the moment he buys a new car, why is he showing off? They'll idolize Marcus Rashford for feeding kids, then call him woke when he asks for actual equality. But then the media, X, Instagram, Facebook, the Bermuda Triangle of brain cells. Every time a black player makes one mistake, boom, emoji abuse, anonymous threats, banter that somehow always includes a banana. And what do the platforms do? They say, we're investigating. Or better yet, offer new filters. Oh yeah, brilliant. But why precisely are clubs doing absolutely nothing? Most clubs just issue the classic, we condemn all forms of racism. Thanks, we were starting to think you approved of it. How about naming the abuser? How about pressing charges? How about actually banning people instead of gently asking them to be nicer? But no, we get statements, and maybe a kick it out badge. Manchester United, maybe of all the biggest Ponzi scheme in football history. The Glazers didn't just ruin a team, they turned a football club into a debt-ridden circus with a half-functioning roof and a leaky midfield. It's 2005. The Glazers rock up from Tampa, Florida. They don't bring tactics, football brains, or even sunscreen. What do they bring? Debt! They buy Manchester United for £790 million, using £500 million they didn't even have. That's like walking into a Ferrari dealership with a Tesco voucher, and somehow driving out with the car. They pulled a leveraged buyout, meaning they used loans to buy the club, then shoved the debt onto the club itself. United literally paid for its own takeover. Iconic robbery. But since then, some more brilliant things happened. The Glazers have taken out over £1.1 billion from the club. Dividends, interest payments, consulting fees, private jet fuel, probably. The name who is the brain behind this is Ed Woodward. Legendary banker, 0 football sense. Hired because he was good at sponsorships. Ended up negotiating transfer deals like it was eBay for centre backs. Remember when United chased Sancho for 2 summers and still managed to overpay? Or when they dropped £85 million on Harry Maguire? A man who turns like a vending machine? That's what happens when your club's run by people who think a double pivot is a sandwich. Every other club sells deadwood. United? They offer new contracts. Phil Jones was still on the payroll after 7 years of not playing. Anthony Marshall scored once a year. Still somehow was considered part of the long-term project. It's like United are running a retirement home, not a football squad. But then the United fans were done with it. Fans have done everything. Protests, boycotts, green and gold scarves, even invaded the pitch once. And what did the Glazers do? Raised ticket prices? Released a new kit. Signed Casemiro at 30 for £70 million and said, see, we're investing. Every time fans rage, the owners drop a signing like a bribe. It's not football strategy, it's PR crisis control. But then probably the most shameful things of all. Ah yes, the cherry on top. In 2021, the Glazers helped lead the European Super League plot. Let's create a closed league. No relegation, guaranteed profits, and call it football. The fans revolted and players hated it, managers were blindsided. But the Glazers, they just blinked slowly like, wait, you guys don't want to be milked forever? The Glazers don't just mismanage, they hire people who also mismanage. CEO after CEO, director after director, all chosen based on one criteria. Can you keep the money flowing? Not, can you win the league? Not, can you spot a bargain left back? Gambling. The Premier League loves it more than VAR loves ruining your Saturday? More than Harry Kane loves penalties? More than Roy Keane loves shouting at Micah Richards for breathing wrong? But when a player bets, ban him, suspend him, destroy him, make it make sense. Welcome to the glorious double standard of English football, where betting companies sponsor everything. But players can't even bet on a throw-in without being treated like international criminals. Look around during any Premier League match. The stadium boards, Bet365, Betway, Dafabet, Stake, Unibet, Betfred, you name it. The shirts, half the league is sponsored by betting companies. West Ham, Betway, Brentford, used to be Hollywood Bets. Newcastle once had Fun 88 because nothing screams fun like losing your rent. Even TV broadcasts are brought to you by betting ads. But of all, the most serious gambler was Ivan Toney, a Premier League baller. Absolute problem for defenders, clinical finisher, occasional gambler. He placed 232 bets over 4 years. Not on Brentford games, not on matches he played in. And what did the FA do? 8-month ban? That's more than some players get for assault. More than players who've actually caused injuries to others. More than people who've, had actual criminal charges. Meanwhile, your match is still brought to you by a betting site trying to get your nan hooked on mega turbo cash out spins. Let's go back a bit. Paul Merson, Arsenal legend. Brilliant player. Also a gambling addict. He lost millions, admitted he couldn't stop. His own bookie had a photo of him above the counter with the words, "Let him bet as much as he wants." Merson begged for help. Did the league support him? Did they offer therapy? No. They just waited for him to collapse. Look kids, don't be like this guy. Great messaging, lads. But why do the clubs say nothing then? Simple. Clubs know players are addicted. Some of them have gambling counselors on staff. But do they get rid of the betting sponsors? Nope. Because betting companies equals money. So instead of removing the temptation, they just tell players, "Hey mate, don't bet on football. But yeah, your shirt says BT365 now, cheers." But then there's something darker than the betting itself, actually. Alcohol. The league pretends it's all protein shakes and yoga now, but don't get it twisted. English football has been marinated in beer since the 1800s. Some clubs literally used to finish training and head straight to the pub, then play matches hungover. And this culture still lives. Friday night team bonding equals shots and pints. Lose the game, drown your sorrows, win the game, celebrate by getting smashed. But when players speak up about mental health, about gambling struggles, about drinking problems, what do the fans say? Man up, focus on the game. You're paid millions, stop crying. Because God forbid a player admits they're human. Nah, the FA punishes players for gambling, while promoting gambling every single week. They say don't do it, but then literally sell the Premier League to betting companies who are saying do it. It's like hosting a fitness show sponsored by McDonald's. They ban players like Tony, but they take millions in sponsorship money. They say gambling ruins lives, but they put ads in every stadium, on every stream, on every halftime show.